My wife changed the locks while I was away, saying that I had found someone better, but the next day. Nathan had always trusted Evelyn. Their marriage had its ups and downs like any other, but he never had a reason to doubt her loyalty. When work called him away on a 2-week business trip, he left with the usual reassurances: daily calls, text updates, and her promise to share her location, something they had always done for safety reasons. The first week passed as expected, with Evelyn texting him frequently, asking about his meetings, and sending photos of their home and their dog. Their video calls were filled with warmth, and everything seemed perfectly normal. But then, something changed. It started subtly. Her texts became shorter, her replies delayed. Where she used to respond instantly with paragraphs about her day, now she simply sent one-word answers. Fine, okay, busy. The video calls that once stretched for an hour dwindled to a few minutes. At first, Nathan rationalized it. Maybe she was stressed with work, or just tired. But then he noticed something even stranger. Her location sharing was turned off. She had never done that before. Nathan tried not to panic. He casually asked her about it in their next conversation. Hey, your location's off. Everything all right? Oh yeah, Evelyn replied quickly, almost too quickly. I think my phone updated or something. I'll check it later. She never did. A gnawing unease settled in his stomach. It wasn't like Evelyn to be careless with things like that. He reminded himself not to jump to conclusions. Trust was the foundation of their relationship. He forced himself to let it go. But then, he started noticing other things. Nathan scrolled through his social media feed late one night, trying to distract himself from the feeling that something was off. That's when he saw it, a photo Evelyn had posted of their living room. At first glance, nothing seemed amiss. The coffee table, the couch, the framed photos of their wedding day, all the usual things were there. But then, his eyes landed on something that didn't belong. A men's jacket. Not his. Nathan zoomed in on the photo, his pulse spiking. The jacket was draped over the back of their couch, casually, as if someone had taken it off after coming inside. It was too big to be hers, and she had posted the photo without seeming to realize what it revealed. His fingers trembled as he stared at the screen. Was he overthinking? Maybe it was a friend's. But what friend? She hadn't mentioned anyone visiting. The next night, he insisted on a video call. She was reluctant but agreed. When her face appeared on the screen, she was smiling, but there was a stiffness to it. Nathan forced himself to act normal. How's everything? He asked, trying to sound casual. Good. Just the usual. Evelyn held the phone up as she walked through the house, but something about her movements seemed off, like she was deliberately keeping the camera pointed away from certain areas. And then, it happened. A low laugh. A man's laugh. Faint but unmistakable. Nathan's breath caught in his throat. His mind raced, struggling to process what he had just heard. What was that? He asked, his voice tightening. Evelyn froze. What was what? I heard someone. She hesitated for just a fraction of a second. Oh, that? That was just the TV. Nathan's stomach twisted. Put the camera on the TV, he said. A pause. Then, she flipped the screen, and sure enough, a show was playing. But something wasn't right. The audio wasn't matching what he had heard. Nathan didn't say anything, but he felt it, that creeping, sickening realization. Something was very, very wrong. Nathan's hands clenched around the steering wheel as he pulled into the driveway of the house he had shared with Evelyn for years. The home they had built together, the place filled with their memories, now stood before him like a stranger's house. Something was wrong. The porch light was on, casting an eerie glow on the front door, but what caught his eye immediately was the new lock. His key, the one he had used countless times, was now useless. His pulse pounded in his ears as he stared at it, his chest tightening with something beyond rage, something closer to disbelief. A sharp vibration in his pocket pulled him from his thoughts. He pulled out his phone, and the moment his eyes landed on the screen, a cold wave of realization crashed over him. A message from Evelyn. I found someone better. Don't bother coming in. Nathan read the words again. His vision blurred, but not from tears. He refused to give her that. His grip tightened around his phone as if holding onto it could stop the reality from sinking in. His wife, his partner, had not only betrayed him, but she had taken the time to twist the knife in his back with a message so short, so dismissive, it stripped him of everything. Not an apology. Not an explanation. Just pure, calculated humiliation. The woman he had built a life with had thrown him away like an inconvenience. And now, she wasn't even willing to face him. Nathan slowly lifted his gaze toward the security camera mounted near the front door. A camera he had installed himself, never thinking that one day he would be the one watched like an outsider. The realization hit him like a blow to the gut. Evelyn was inside. She was watching him. And she wasn't alone. She wanted to see his reaction. She was probably standing just beyond that door, next to the man she had replaced him with, waiting for the moment he broke. Waiting for him to pound on the door, scream her name, demand answers. Nathan exhaled sharply, forcing down the bitterness rising in his throat. His pride, his dignity, were the only things he had left in this moment. If she wanted to see him unravel, she would be sorely disappointed. Without a word, without so much as a glance back, he turned on his heel and walked away. Each step was slow, deliberate, his heartbeat hammering against his ribs. His mind screamed at him to react, to do something, but he refused. He refused to be reduced to the pathetic, desperate man she expected him to be. Behind him, the security camera's red light blinked. Watching. Nathan knew she saw him leaving. And he knew that would infuriate her more than any outburst ever could. Nathan sat in his car, gripping the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. His mind replayed Evelyn's text over and over. "I found someone better. Don't bother coming in." Each word was like a fresh slap to the face. He had spent years building a life with this woman, trusting her, believing in their marriage, only to be discarded like he was nothing. And now she was inside their home, his home, with another man, watching him through the security camera like a joke. But if she thought he would simply walk away and disappear, she was wrong. Nathan pulled out his phone and dialed the one person he knew he could count on. "Eric," he said the moment his best friend answered. "I need your help." Eric didn't hesitate. "Where are you?" Nathan gave him a brief rundown, how he had come home to find the locks changed, how Evelyn had sent him that humiliating message, how he had walked away instead of giving her the reaction she wanted. There was silence on the other end for a moment before Eric's voice came through, laced with barely contained fury. "She did this while you were gone? She already had someone else lined up?" "Jesus, Nathan." Nathan exhaled through his nose, trying to keep his anger under control. "I need to know who he is." "I'm on it," Eric said without hesitation. "Give me a couple of hours." Nathan ended the call, his entire body tense. He knew Eric would come through, he always did. But the waiting was unbearable. To distract himself, Nathan unlocked his phone and pulled up the cloud storage account he and Evelyn had always shared. It was mostly used for storing receipts, important documents, and photos. She probably hadn't even thought about it. As he scrolled through the folders, his stomach twisted. There, right in the recent uploads, were dozens of new images. With trembling fingers, he opened the first one. It was a picture of Ryan. A man Nathan had never seen before, sitting comfortably on his couch. Nathan's blood ran cold. Another image. Ryan in his kitchen, drinking coffee from his favorite mug. Another. Ryan in his bed, shirtless, his arms stretched out as if taking a lazy morning photo. Nathan's breath came in short, shallow bursts as he kept scrolling. His home. His space. His wife. And then, the ultimate betrayal. A photo of Evelyn, lying on their bed, her hair spread across his pillow, wearing the necklace Nathan had bought her on their anniversary. Time-stamped for a night she had told him she was too tired to talk. Nathan felt physically sick. This wasn't just an affair. This wasn't just cheating. This was complete and utter humiliation. Evelyn had brought another man into their home while Nathan was away, while he had been working to provide for her. And she hadn't even been careful about hiding it. She hadn't just betrayed him, she had flaunted it. A notification popped up on his phone. A text from Eric. "His name's Ryan. Works for a competitor. Looks like he's been using her for insider info." Nathan's pulse roared in his ears. Not only had Evelyn thrown away their marriage for some fling, but she had done it with a man who had every reason to destroy Nathan's career. She had betrayed him in every possible way. And she had thought he would just walk away. Nathan clenched his jaw, his fury settling into something sharper, something dangerous. If Evelyn thought she had won, she was about to realize just how wrong she was. Evelyn had always believed she was untouchable. She thought she could cheat, lie, and manipulate her way through life without consequences. She had convinced herself that Nathan was weak, that he would fade into the background while she enjoyed her new life with Ryan. She couldn't have been more wrong. It started slowly at first. Little inconveniences. Her credit cards stopped working. She tried to pay for lunch with a colleague, only to have the transaction declined. The waiter stared at her, and her colleague awkwardly pulled out their own card to cover the bill. Embarrassment. Then came the work scandal. Nathan had known exactly where to strike. With Eric's help, he had leaked just enough information to the right people, A few choice emails, financial discrepancies, small inconsistencies in reports Evelyn had signed off on. The company's internal review moved fast. What had started as whispers about her financial troubles quickly turned into an investigation into corporate misconduct. Then the hammer dropped. She had leaked company data to Ryan. The evidence was undeniable. HR called her into a meeting. Her boss sat across from her, his expression colder than she had ever seen it. "Evelyn, we have reason to believe you've been involved in leaking confidential information to a competing firm." Her stomach dropped. "What?" she sputtered. "That's ridiculous. Who told you that?" Her boss slid a printed report across the table. Emails. Screenshot. The proof was undeniable. Her signature was on financial documents that showed unapproved transactions. Money that had been funneled into personal expenses, all disguised as company research. She had gotten careless. I can explain," she stammered, her mind racing for an excuse, a lie, anything. But they weren't interested in her explanations. She was fired on the spot. No severance. No recommendations. Just a security escort out of the building as her colleagues watched in stunned silence. Humiliation. And then, as if the universe wasn't done punishing her, Ryan left. He had promised her a future, had convinced her to leave Nathan, had used her for everything she was worth. And the moment she became a liability, he vanished. His number was disconnected. His social media accounts wiped. He had cut all ties overnight. Panicked, she tried to contact Nathan. She called, texted, even emailed. No response. More text. "Nathan, please, I need to talk. I made a mistake. Please just answer. I don't have anywhere to go." Silence. Nathan wasn't coming to save her. Desperation set in. Her apartment was too expensive to keep without her salary. Her savings, what little she had left, were draining fast. Her financial accounts were still frozen, and Nathan wasn't undoing it. She had no choice. She packed up her things and moved back in with her parents. The same parents she had once bragged about leaving behind, the ones she had looked down on for their simple, average life. Now, she was back in her childhood bedroom, surrounded by old furniture and faded posters from her teenage years. No luxury apartment. No designer clothes. No lavish dinners. Just shame. And with no career prospects, she had to take the only job she could find, working retail. The same woman who once spent thousands on a whim was now standing behind a register, scanning groceries, forced to smile at strangers. She had thrown away her marriage, her career, and her reputation. And now she was nothing. Nathan didn't just move on, he thrived. While Evelyn was trapped in a cycle of regret and humiliation, Nathan was building something better. He poured himself into his work, cutting every last tie that had once connected him to the woman who had betrayed him. And the universe rewarded him for it. He secured a major promotion, the same one Evelyn had once schemed for, the one she had thrown away for Ryan. It was almost poetic. The position she had dreamed of, the one she had destroyed her marriage chasing, was now his. She could have had it all, but she had gambled and lost everything. Nathan didn't stop there. He made sure Evelyn's last act of arrogance came back to haunt her. The expensive couch she had bought for Ryan with company money? The one she had picked out so carefully, thinking it would be theirs? It now sat in Nathan's office, a symbol of her failure and his success. When people walked in, they admired it. "Nice couch," Olivia had said with a smirk when she first saw it. Nathan only smiled. Olivia. What had started as a calculated move had turned into something real. She was everything Evelyn had pretended to be: intelligent, ambitious, loyal. What began as a strategic dinner soon became late-night conversations, laughter, and the kind of trust Nathan had forgotten was possible. Evelyn had spent years tearing him down, convincing him that he wasn't enough. Olivia, in a matter of months, showed him the truth. And Evelyn? She watched from a distance. Her texts had slowed, but she couldn't resist sending one final message. "You planned this from the start, didn't you?" Nathan stared at the words, shaking his head at the sheer audacity of it. She still didn't get it. She still thought this was some game. He didn't bother responding. Some questions answer themselves. Nathan didn't just move on, he thrived. While Evelyn was trapped in a cycle of regret and humiliation, Nathan was building something better. He poured himself into his work, cutting every last tie that had once connected him to the woman who had betrayed him. And the universe rewarded him for it. He secured a major promotion, the same one Evelyn had once schemed for, the one she had thrown away for Ryan. It was almost poetic. The position she had dreamed of, the one she had destroyed her marriage chasing, was now his. She could have had it all, but she had gambled and lost everything. Nathan didn't stop there. He made sure Evelyn's last act of arrogance came back to haunt her. The expensive couch she had bought for Ryan with company money? The one she had picked out so carefully, thinking it would be theirs? It now sat in Nathan's office, a symbol of her failure and his success. When people walked in, they admired it. "Nice couch," Olivia had said with a smirk when she first saw it. Nathan only smiled. Olivia. What had started as a calculated move had turned into something real. She was everything Evelyn had pretended to be: intelligent, ambitious, loyal. What began as a strategic dinner soon became late-night conversations, laughter, and the kind of trust Nathan had forgotten was possible. Evelyn had spent years tearing him down, convincing him that he wasn't enough. Olivia, in a matter of months, showed him the truth. And Evelyn? She watched from a distance. Her texts had slowed, but she couldn't resist sending one final message. "You planned this from the start, didn't you?" Nathan stared at the words, shaking his head at the sheer audacity of it. She still didn't get it. She still thought this was some game. He didn't bother responding. Some questions answer themselves.